Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here to take that mountain of research you send us and, well, really just cut straight to the analysis that matters. Basically, we do the reading so you don't have to.
Yeah.
Today, we are heading over to France. Specifically, we're zoning in on Ligue 2 for a really crucial upcoming match. Our mission is a deep dive into the data for Montpellier HSC hosting USL Dunkerque. It's set for January 5th, 2026, a 19.45 UTC kickoff at the Stade de la Mosson.
And this is exactly the kind of match that can, really define a season, even though if you just look at the table, you'd see two teams sort of stuck in the middle. But the thing about Ligue 2 is that it is always brutally tight.
Always.
Dunkerque is a little bit ahead of Montpellier right now, but we're talking about maybe one or two results separating them from a promotion playoff spot or, dragging them right into a relegation scrap.
That's the real razor's edge here. We saw that term pop up again and again in the notes for this one, a crucial six-pointer.
It is, and for anyone who might not be deep in the weeds on this, it's a 6-point swing. Simple as that.
Right. You get 3 points for the win.
And you deny 3 points to a team right next to you in the table. It's just a massive momentum shift. For both of these clubs, a win in the first week of January. It's not about bragging rights. It's about setting the entire tone for the rest of the season.
So the big question is, who's going to grab it?
Exactly.
That really sets the stage perfectly, because the story here seems to be a fascinating clash between what the data calls tradition and what we're seeing as momentum. Let's start with their current form, their home and away tendencies. For the hosts, Montpellier, the recent numbers show, well, inconsistency. You see a win, then a loss, then maybe a draw. They're competitive, sure, but they just haven't found that next gear.
And that's reflected in their attack, too. They're averaging around, 1.15 goals per match?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
It just tells you the story. They're good enough to get results against lesser teams, but they don't have the firepower to consistently blow anyone away. They can't, dominate matches from the front.
But the big qualifier here, the big asterisk, is the Stade de la Mosson. What happens when Montpellier plays at home?
They become a totally different team. The research is pretty clear on this. At home, Montpellier's identity is all about defensive solidity.
Controlled scoring?
Exactly. Controlled scoring and a strong defensive showing. They're not trying to win 4-3. They are aiming for a tight 1-0, maybe a 2-1. They want to slow the game down, dictate the pace, and just frustrate you into making a costly mistake.
And that controlled defensive style is being put to the test by Dunkerque, who are coming into this one on a real high. Their recent form is just better. They've logged several big wins in their last 5 matches. They're definitely the team with momentum on their side.
And this is where the real tactical friction is. If Montpellier is all about control at home, Dunkerque is all about attack when they're away.
It's a strange split, isn't it?
It is, but the data is emphatic. Their away games consistently feature more goals, more attacking intent. It's a complete contrast to Montpellier's conservative home approach.
So why is that? Why save your best attacking football for the road?
I think it suggests they're really comfortable playing as the counterpuncher. They know the pressure is on the home side to come out and attack, so they just wait. They absorb it, and then they hit you on the break with speed. And that is a direct tactical threat to Montpellier's slow burn strategy.
So we have tradition versus momentum. Let's see if history can give us a tiebreaker. Let's pivot to the head-to-head record between these two.
And what's so interesting here is how conclusive these games have been. The records are split right down the middle, 1 win each.
Okay, perfectly balanced.
But here's the statistical quirk, the massive one. There have been 0 draws between them.
0 draws. That's bizarre. In a league like Ligue 2, where, 1-1 results are everywhere, what does that tell us?
To me, it suggests that these two teams, for whatever reason, are tactically incapable of just settling for a stalemate.
Right.
It implies that when one team gets a lead, the other one just goes for it. They sacrifice defensive shape to chase an equalizer, and it leads to a decisive result one way or another. It's historically been winner take all.
And even within that context, the scores have been tight. The plot thickens, right? Both of their previous matches finished under 2.5 goals.
That lays down a really clear historical marker. These are tight, low-scoring games decided by the thinnest of margins. And that leads us right into the tactical profiles for this match.
Let's start with Montpellier. We know their defensive strength at home is the foundation, but where does the creativity come from? The sources point to their experienced midfielders.
Yeah, they're the engine room. They're the ones tasked with setting that slow tempo we talked about, with managing possession. They're the tactical anchors. If they can dominate the middle of the pitch, they can frustrate a team like Dunkirk.
The research also highlights the home crowd at the Stade de la Mosson as a real factor. The idea is that the pressure from the stands could force Dunkirk to sit back early on.
Well, that's the theory.
But wait a minute. If Dunkirk is riding this wave of momentum, this aggressive away form, why would crowd noise alone make them abandon the very thing that's making them successful?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's what the analytics community is trying to figure out. A confident Dunkirk might see that crowd pressure as a challenge, score an early goal and silence them.
Right. Turn their biggest weapon against them.
Exactly. Dunkirk's profile is all about being adventurous. They look to exploit any defensive lapse if Montpellier pushes too many players forward looking for that opening goal. It's a classic tactical standoff.
Okay, so let's unpack this conflict. Let's see how the predictive models are trying to make sense of this whole history versus momentum clash. The primary result prediction seems to lean towards history, towards tradition. Most models are pointing to a narrow Montpellier win.
A 1-0 home win is the single most likely scoreline, yeah. It feels like the safe, statistically sound prediction. It leans on that home strength and the low-scoring history between them.
But it's not that simple, is it?
Not at all. And for you, the listener, trying to get the whole picture, this is so important. While Montpellier is the favorite, it's a very narrow favor. We're talking maybe a 5 or 10% edge.
That's tenuous.
Very. The analytics also see Dunkirk as a really strong threat to get a win, or even, for the first time ever, a draw. The models are clearly picking up on their recent form. This is no foregone conclusion.
Let's take that uncertainty into the goals market, because this is where it gets really interesting for me. The consensus, which aligns with history, points toward a competitive, low-scoring match. So the favorite play here is under 2.5 goals.
Which means 2 total goals or fewer. A 1-0, 0, 0, 0, 1-1, something like that.
But, and this is a big but.
Yeah.
The research also presents a pretty starkly contrasting analysis.
This is where it gets really fun. While under 2.5 is the consensus, the possibility of over 2.5 goals is flagged as a significant secondary possibility.
So the data is basically arguing with itself. How can the historical trend for low scoring be so strong, but the over is still in play?
It's all because of Dunkirk. It's their aggressive profile, their recent momentum, their attacking intent on the road. It's statistically significant enough to disrupt the historical pattern.
So the models are weighing the chance that Dunkirk just forces an open game.
Precisely. Maybe they score early and Montpellier has to chase. Or maybe that 0-draw anomaly holds and we get a frantic, chaotic last 20 minutes. Dunkirk's attack is the variable that could blow this whole thing open.
That makes perfect sense. Let's look at the other angles then, specifically how the scoring might happen. Because despite the low-scoring expectation, the probability for both teams to score, or BTTS, is actually rated pretty highly.
Yeah, some models have it at just over a 50% chance. That's a huge probability for a game that's predicted to be 1-0.
It's another contradiction.
It is, but it confirms the conflict. If Dunkirk's away form is good enough to pretty much guarantee they'll score, then Montpellier has to score to get that predicted win.
Which brings us to one final tiny detail from the analysis that seems to favor Montpellier.
Set pieces.
Set pieces.
Montpellier's home environment gives them a clear advantage on corners, on free kicks, the home crowd, the familiar pitch. Their experienced players are just better at delivering and finishing from those dead ball situations.
So you can almost draw a line here.
Yeah.
Dunkirk's most likely path to a goal is from open play, a quick counter.
Right.
And Montpellier's most likely path for that 1-0 or 2-1 win might just be a perfectly placed header from a corner kick. It's a game of incredibly small margins.
Precisely. And if we try to synthesize all of this, what we're left with is just a beautifully complex matchup. On paper, they're evenly matched, but they're complete opposites in their philosophy.
Right.
Montpellier has the slight edge because of tradition, their controlled style, the home advantage. But Dunkirk isn't playing by those rules. Their momentum and their willingness to attack could absolutely frustrate the hosts and flip this whole thing on its head.
Okay, so if you're looking for a final summary, one built purely on the sources we've gone through, here are the 3 main takeaways. 1, the safe bet, driven by tradition, is a narrow Montpellier win. That 1-0 scoreline is still the most likely single outcome. 2, the historical trend points strongly to under 2.5 goals. But you have to keep that Dunkirk warning sign in mind.
You really do.
And 3, despite all that, both teams to score is a real possibility. Over 50% likely, according to some models. If you're looking for where the excitement might be, it's there.
Which leaves us with one final critical thought for you to consider. The outcome here doesn't just hinge on who scores. It hinges on which team's identity bends first.
That's a great way to put it.
The low-scoring history demands a cautious game, but Dunkirk's form demands they take risks. So will the home crowd pressure force Dunkirk into a defensive shell, letting Montpellier play their comfortable, controlled game? Or will Dunkirk's attacking confidence hold true, defy history, and turn this tight six-pointer into a wide-open brawl? The team that wins that psychological battle, that battle of identity, well, that's the team that's going to win the match.